I remember it as if it were yesterday, the first time I saw a real computer. It wasn't this sleek, fast little thing we have today. It was a behemoth occupying an entire room. It looked like a maze of wires, fans, and cabinets. Honestly, it felt like stepping into another world, one I barely understood but which utterly captivated me. It was as if I were glimpsing the future. And there I was, a curious kid, wanting to unravel every secret of that giant machine. This was the dawn of a new era, a time when these incredible engines of calculation were more akin to industrial equipment than personal devices. They hummed with an internal energy, a palpable aura of power that hinted at the immense potential they held. My initial encounters were filled with a sense of awe, a profound respect for the sheer scale and complexity of these early wonders. The air around them was always a little warmer, a testament to the colossal effort required to bring them to life. They were the pioneers, the foundational pillars upon which everything else would eventually be built, and standing their presence, even as a child, felt like standing at the very edge of human ingenuity. The sheer physical presence of these machines was overwhelming, a stark contrast to the invisible forces that would later drive our digital lives. They demanded space, attention, and a dedicated environment, a far cry from the pocket-sized companions of today. Yet, within that imposing structure lay the seeds of transformation, a promise of a future where information could be processed and knowledge expanded in ways previously unimaginable. My young mind, though not fully grasping the intricate workings, sensed the profound significance of these giants. They were more than just machines. They were gateways to understanding, portals to a world of logic and data that was just beginning to unfold. It's fascinating to think back to those early days, when these incredible machines were confined to vast climate-controlled rooms, accessible only to a select few. It felt like peering into a distant, almost mythical future. I wasn't a whiz with wires or circuits, not by a long shot. My connection was more intuitive, a feeling of awe at the sheer potential humming within those behemoths. I witnessed firsthand how these marvels, once relegated to the hushed halls of academia and research, began their remarkable journey out of isolation and into our everyday lives. This wasn't just a technological shift, it was a fundamental reordering of how we connect, create, and even entertain ourselves. The transition from those monolithic structures to the personal devices we now hold in our hands has been nothing short of revolutionary. I remember the first time I saw a computer being used in a home setting. It was a revelation, a glimpse into a world where complex calculations and vast libraries of information were no longer the exclusive domain of specialists. This experience, this lived journey through the evolution of these amazing tools, has gifted me with a rather unique perspective. I'm not here to deliver a dry, technical lecture filled with jargon and statistics that would make your head spin. My aim is to share the feeling of this transformation, to illustrate its profound impact on my life and the lives of countless others. Of course, navigating the digital landscape of today can sometimes feel overwhelming, even to someone who has been a witness to its genesis. The sheer speed of innovation, the constant influx of new platforms and functionalities can leave one feeling a bit adrift. Yet, despite these moments of bewilderment, I carry with me the certainty that every single step in this incredible progression, no matter how small it may have seemed at the time, has had an enormous, far-reaching effect. I want to share this journey with you, not as an expert, but as a fellow traveler, offering a deeply personal and honest account of how we got here. Those immense, room-filling entities, though seemingly distant from our current reality, were the crucial first chapters in a story that continues to unfold. They represented a monumental leap, a testament to human ingenuity, and a harbinger of the interconnected world we inhabit. My youthful perception, though lacking the technical lexicon of the engineers who built them, recognized their inherent power. They weren't merely inert objects. They were the nascent stages of a grand experiment, a promise that the limits of human knowledge and capability were about to be dramatically expanded. The subtle hum of their processors was the soundtrack to an impending revolution. This fascination wasn't confined to my father's quiet moments of study. It permeated our home, transforming ordinary conversations into explorations of the extraordinary. My mother, while not as deeply immersed in the technical intricacies, possessed a remarkable adaptability. She embraced the introduction of new devices with a pragmatic curiosity, quickly learning their functions and integrating them into our daily lives. I remember the arrival of our first truly interactive screen. It wasn't just a passive display, it responded to touch, to commands. My father would patiently guide my mother through its capabilities, and her initial hesitation would melt away as she discovered new ways to connect with information and with the world beyond our doorstep. Their shared endeavor, this constant effort to keep pace with the relentless march of progress, created an environment where learning and adaptation were not chores, but exciting adventures. I absorbed their eagerness like a sponge. While my father delved into the how, I found myself drawn to the what if. What new possibilities did these evolving tools unlock? What could they do that we hadn't even dreamed of yet? The abstract concepts of circuits and logic gates, explained through analogies of flowing water or intricate puzzles, painted vivid pictures in my young mind. Each new component, each advancement in speed or storage, felt like a key, unlocking a door to a future that was no longer a distant fantasy, but a tangible reality taking shape before my very eyes. The sheer potential, the boundless creativity that these inanimate objects seemed to represent was intoxicating. This shared pursuit forged a unique bond between my parents and me. It wasn't just about the devices themselves, but about the process of understanding and mastering them. Weekends often involved unboxing new acquisitions, deciphering their manuals, and experimenting with their features. These were not just tasks, they were collaborative expeditions into uncharted territory. My father's methodical approach, his methodical dismantling and reassembly of ideas, complemented my mother's intuitive grasp of practical application. And I, perched between them, acted as a bridge, translating their technical explanations into the language of wonder and possibility that resonated with my youthful imagination. The most striking change I witnessed was the sheer velocity of progress. Suddenly, what was cutting edge yesterday was obsolete today. I recall the enormous queues just to get access to a computing station, the steep learning curve involved in mastering programming, and the sheer frustration when a piece of software would inexplicably freeze. Yet, concurrent with that frustration was an immense thrill, a surge of exhilaration when we managed to make something functional, a profound sense of accomplishment when we finally grasped a new command. It felt like we were charting an unknown continent, forging paths toward a future that was barely conceivable. And the advent of the interconnected network, that above all, fundamentally altered everything. The early days of that network were a symphony of dial-up modems screeching and blinking cursors on monochrome screens. Information, once a scarce commodity painstakingly sought in libraries or through expensive subscriptions, began to flow with an unprecedented ease. Suddenly, distance seemed to shrink. A question posed to a digital bulletin board in one corner of the world could elicit answers from another within moments. This accessibility was revolutionary, democratizing knowledge and fostering communities of shared interest that transcended physical boundaries. It was a constant, exhilarating race to keep up, to absorb the latest developments, to understand the new paradigms that were emerging with such rapid succession. My parents, ever the pioneers, dived headfirst into this burgeoning digital ocean. My father, with his meticulous cataloging of protocols and his systematic exploration of new platforms, treated it as a vast, intricate library waiting to be indexed. My mother, on the other hand, saw its inherent potential for connection and creation, experimenting with ways to share information and collaborate on projects that had previously been logistically impossible. I would often observe them, their faces illuminated by the glow of screens, engaged in lively discussions about the implications of this new medium, their combined efforts fueling my own burgeoning curiosity. It was a period of intense learning, not just about the mechanics of the systems, but about the very nature of communication and community, in this evolving landscape. The initial interactions felt like stepping into a vast, uncharted territory. I recall the rudimentary interfaces, the stark text-based environments that were nonetheless brimming with potential. Typing commands felt like unlocking secret passages, each successful execution a small victory that propelled me further into this digital frontier. The games were simple, yes, but they offered a novel form of engagement, a way to test my logic and reaction times in ways I hadn't encountered before. Yet, it was the burgeoning ability to connect that truly sparked my imagination. Hearing about people across oceans sharing ideas, collaborating on projects, and simply exchanging thoughts was nothing short of revolutionary. It chipped away at the perceived distances, shrinking the world in a way that felt both magical and profoundly significant. Then came the internet. It wasn't a gradual introduction, it was an explosion of possibility. The sheer volume of accessible information was staggering. Imagine suddenly having access to encyclopedias, research papers, news from every corner of the globe, all at your fingertips. It was like finding a universal key, unlocking countless doors to knowledge and understanding. The way information was presented was so different, no longer bound by physical pages and library hours, but available instantaneously. This democratizing effect of information was palpable, empowering individuals with resources that were previously exclusive. This newfound accessibility began to reshape everyday life. Tasks that once required significant effort and time became streamlined. Sharing documents, coordinating plans, even learning a new skill could be done with an unprecedented ease. The world felt smaller, more intimate, as if the invisible threads connecting individuals had suddenly become visible and tangible. It fostered a sense of global community where shared interests and common goals could transcend geographical boundaries. This interconnectedness wasn't just about convenience. It was about a fundamental shift in how we perceived our place in the world and our ability to interact with it. The impact of this profound transformation was immense, reverberating through my personal life and touching everyone around me. Suddenly, our homes became our offices, our classrooms, and our shopping malls. The concept of distance seemed to shrink, and geographical borders felt increasingly permeable. This newfound proximity brought with it a wealth of opportunities, allowing for unprecedented access to information and a broader range of connections. Yet, this digital revolution, as it unfolded, also cast long shadows, introducing a new set of challenges. The reliance on these connected systems became a double-edged sword, fostering a sense of isolation amidst constant communication and blurring the lines between our professional and private spheres in ways we hadn't anticipated. The constant hum of notifications and the ever-present glow of screens began to exert a subtle but persistent pressure. A significant concern that emerged was the growing vulnerability of our personal information. As more of our lives migrated into the digital realm, the security of our data became paramount. Each online transaction, each shared thought, each piece of personal detail added to a vast ocean of information, and the question of who controlled it and how it was protected loomed larger with each passing day. The ease with which we could connect also meant that our digital footprints were becoming increasingly detailed and potentially exposed. This awareness brought a new layer of caution to our online interactions, a constant undercurrent of concern about privacy that had been less pronounced in the early days of this interconnectedness. It was a trade-off, a delicate balancing act between the undeniable benefits and the emerging risks. This era also brought about a subtle but significant shift in our social dynamics. While we could connect with people across continents instantaneously, the quality of those interactions began to change. The spontaneous hallway conversations, the casual coffee breaks that foster camaraderie, and the shared experiences of being physically present in the same space started to fade. In their place emerged a new form of communication, often asynchronous and filtered, which, while efficient, lacked some of the nuances and emotional depth of face-to-face encounters. This gave rise to a peculiar paradox. We were more connected than ever, Yet many felt a growing sense of loneliness, a yearning for authentic human interaction that the digital world struggled to fully replicate. The very tools that promised to bring us closer were, in some instances, creating a new kind of distance. The constant accessibility also began to erode the boundaries between work and personal time. The ability to connect from anywhere meant that the office often followed us home, blurring the lines and making it difficult to truly disconnect. Evenings and weekends were no longer sacred spaces for rest and rejuvenation. They became extensions of the workday, punctuated by emails and urgent requests. This relentless integration of professional responsibilities into our personal lives led to increased stress, burnout, and a diminished sense of well-being. The freedom to work from home, initially celebrated, started to feel like a perpetual tether demanding our attention regardless of the hour or the setting. Reclaiming personal time became a conscious effort, a deliberate act of setting boundaries in a world that increasingly encouraged constant availability. The stark realization that emerged from this prolonged period of blurred lines was a profound understanding of the dual nature of the digital tools that had so thoroughly permeated our existence. These capabilities, in and of themselves, held no inherent morality. They were and always had been merely instruments. The true power, and indeed the true responsibility, lay with the hands that wielded them. We had the capacity to leverage these advancements to forge a world that was demonstrably better, a world characterized by increased fairness and deeper, more meaningful connections between people. Conversely, the same instruments could be twisted and perverted, employed for purposes of demolition, insidious manipulation, and systematic subjugation. This inherent dichotomy underscored the absolute necessity of cultivating a robust understanding of how these systems functioned. It was imperative that we actively engage in the ongoing discourse surrounding their trajectory, ensuring that our collective voice shaped their evolution. Furthermore, a commitment to utilizing these powerful resources with mindful intent and unwavering accountability became not just a suggestion, but a critical imperative for navigating the future. This awakening wasn't a sudden epiphany, but a slow, dawning comprehension born from navigating the complexities of an always-on world. It was the quiet hum of devices in the background, the incessant notifications that chipped away at moments of genuine rest, that forced a re-evaluation. The initial promise of flexibility had, for many, morphed into a gilded cage of constant expectation. The ease of remote access, once hailed as liberation, now felt like an invisible leash, pulling us back into work irrespective of the clock or our physical surroundings. Reclaiming those stolen hours, those precious fragments of life beyond professional obligation, became a conscious battle. It required a deliberate, often arduous, act of erecting personal boundaries in an environment that actively encouraged and often demanded perpetual availability. This wasn't about rejecting progress, but about redefining our relationship with it, ensuring that progress served humanity rather than dictating its every waking moment. The skills learned in this struggle were not technical, but deeply human. Resilience, discernment, and the courage to disconnect. The relentless march of innovation presents a profound lesson. What is cutting edge today will inevitably be superseded tomorrow. This constant evolution necessitates a prepared mindset, a willingness to acquire new proficiencies and embrace emerging tools. Stagnation is not an option. Clinging to current knowledge as a lifelong sufficiency is a recipe for obsolescence. Instead, we must cultivate a spirit of inquisitiveness, remain receptive to novel concepts, and embrace the opportunity to explore uncharted territory. This dynamic environment fosters a unique brand of adaptability. It's not merely about learning a new skill and mastering it. It's about understanding the underlying principles that drive these changes. It's about recognizing patterns of development and anticipating future trajectories. This foresight allows individuals to proactively engage with transformations rather than reactively being overwhelmed by them. The capacity to discern which advancements hold genuine promise and which are fleeting trends becomes an invaluable asset, guiding personal and professional growth. This proactive engagement requires a conscious effort to step outside comfort zones. It means dedicating time and energy to understanding how novel systems function, even when their immediate application isn't apparent. The rewards of this continuous learning extend far beyond the acquisition of specific competencies. It cultivates a mental agility, a flexibility of thought that allows individuals to navigate complex and shifting landscapes with confidence. The fear of the unknown begins to dissipate, replaced by a sense of empowerment derived from the ability to learn and adapt. Ultimately, this journey of continuous learning is intrinsically linked to personal fulfillment. It prevents the feeling of being left behind, of becoming irrelevant in a rapidly changing world. By actively participating in the ongoing development of our tools and systems, we remain agents of our own progress, shaping our future rather than being passively swept along by it. This mindset, once adopted, becomes a powerful engine for sustained growth and a richer, more engaged experience of life. And finally, I learned that these modern marvels are not the be-all and end-all. We need to cherish life's simple pleasures, human connection, the beauty of nature, the richness of art, and the depth of culture. We mustn't allow these advancements to overpower us, to distance us from one another, or to make us forget what truly matters. We must harness these tools to our advantage to improve our lives and to build a better world, all while holding on to the values that define our humanity. This newfound perspective shifted my daily routine in subtle yet profound ways. Instead of immediately reaching for my communication device upon waking, I found myself drawn to the quietude of the morning, listening to the birdsong outside my window or watching the sunrise paint the sky with vibrant hues. My interactions with others became more deliberate and present. I made an effort to put away my distractions during conversations, truly listening to what people had to say, observing their expressions, and engaging with a genuine curiosity that had often been sidelined by the constant influx of digital information. The local park, once a place I visited infrequently, became a sanctuary. I rediscovered the simple joy of walking barefoot on the grass, feeling the earth beneath my feet, and breathing in the scent of blooming flowers. I started carrying a sketchbook, not to document every passing moment for an online audience, but for the sheer pleasure of capturing the lines of a gnarled tree or the intricate patterns of a butterfly's wings. These activities, previously deemed too slow or unproductive in my old mindset, now felt incredibly nourishing, reawakening senses that had grown dull. Even my engagement with the advanced systems began to change. Rather than passively consuming content, I started approaching them with a more discerning eye, seeking out resources that fostered creativity, learning, and genuine connection. I sought out online communities focused on shared artistic pursuits or environmental activism, where the human element remained at the forefront. I used the interconnectedness offered by these systems to organize local meetups, to share knowledge face-to-face, and to collaborate on projects that had a tangible impact on my immediate surroundings. This journey wasn't about rejecting progress, but about redefining its purpose. It was about understanding that the greatest innovations are those that amplify our inherent human qualities rather than diminish them. It was about recognizing that while the tools we create can be incredibly powerful, they are most effective when guided by wisdom, empathy, and a deep appreciation for the non-digital aspects of our existence. The world, viewed through this balanced lens, felt not less, but more vibrant and meaningful. And at the end of the day, what impresses me most is the human capacity to create, to innovate, to transform the world. We went from vacuum tubes to artificial intelligence in just a few decades. It's an incredible journey, full of challenges, but also brimming with opportunities. I feel privileged to have lived this story up close, to have witnessed this transformation. And I hope my experience can inspire you to use these advancements consciously and responsibly to build a better future for all of us. This era of rapid evolution has fundamentally reshaped our understanding of progress. It's no longer solely about crafting ever more sophisticated mechanisms, but about how these creations augment our innate abilities, allowing us to connect, to learn and to solve problems with unprecedented speed and scale. The very fabric of our daily lives has been rewoven with threads of digital interconnectedness, facilitating global collaboration and opening doors to knowledge that were once unimaginable. This constant flux, while sometimes disorienting, is a testament to our species' enduring drive for improvement and exploration. What truly resonates is witnessing how these powerful tools, born from human ingenuity, serve to amplify our most cherished qualities. When harnessed with foresight and a profound understanding of human needs, they become extensions of our creativity, our empathy, and our desire to understand one another. The most impactful advancements aren't those that replace human effort, but those that empower it, allowing us to dedicate more energy to the aspects of life that truly matter: compassion, connection, and the pursuit of shared well-being. Looking back, it's clear that the trajectory of our development has been marked by a persistent striving to bridge the gap between the abstract potential of our ideas and their tangible impact on the world. This has led to breakthroughs that have not only simplified complex tasks, but have also fostered entirely new ways of experiencing our environment and interacting with each other. The sheer pace of this change underscores the dynamic nature of human endeavor, a constant cycle of questioning, experimenting, and building. It is this very journey, this relentless march of innovation, that fills me with a deep sense of awe. To have been a participant, even a humble observer, in such a profound period of change is a singular gift. My hope is that by sharing these reflections, I can encourage a thoughtful engagement with the tools and systems we are collectively shaping. May we all embrace the responsibility that comes with such powerful capabilities, ensuring that our creations serve to uplift humanity and cultivate a world that is not only advanced, but also deeply humane and sustainable for generations to come. The transformative journey I've undertaken has profoundly reshaped my perspective. It has instilled in me a heightened sense of adaptability, a relentless curiosity, and a critical eye that scrutinizes not just the surface of new advancements, but their underlying implications. Witnessing firsthand the explosive power of innovation has been awe-inspiring, revealing the potential to solve complex problems and connect distant corners of the globe. Yet, this very power carries a shadow: the inherent risks of becoming overly reliant on these sophisticated systems, a vulnerability that can easily arise from their convenience and pervasiveness. The fabric of our world has been demonstrably rewoven by these advancements, and in turn, I, as an individual navigating this evolving landscape, have been equally molded. The initial excitement of exploring new frontiers has matured into a more nuanced understanding of the forces at play. It's no longer about simply embracing the next shiny object, but about discerning its true value and purpose. This period has been a constant lesson in calibration, learning to harness potential without succumbing to dependence, a delicate balance that requires ongoing effort and mindful consideration. The most vital lesson, the cornerstone upon which future progress must be built, is the imperative to wield these powerful tools with deliberate wisdom. This means not only understanding how they function, but also anticipating their impact on individuals and societies. It means recognizing that at the heart of every algorithm, every network, and every digital interface, there lies a human element, a need for empathy and genuine connection that cannot be replicated by even the most sophisticated code. Therefore, the cultivation of our human qualities, compassion, creativity, and collaboration, must be as paramount as the development of any new mechanism. This commitment to intelligent application and humanistic values is not merely a suggestion. It is the essential blueprint for forging a brighter future. It is the pathway to a world where these extraordinary creations are not drivers of discord or isolation, but rather instruments that amplify human potential, foster understanding, and serve the collective good. Such a future is one where the tools we design are in service to us, augmenting our capabilities and enriching our lives, rather than dictating our paths or diminishing our essence. The pursuit of this equilibrium, this harmonious coexistence, is an ongoing endeavor, a continuous learning process that demands our unwavering attention and dedication for generations to come.